Hola.
Hey.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Focus on You with Phil, Oscar, and our good pal, Ransom Davenport. Yes, we are holding him ransom.
That's it.
Ransom Davenport, aka Batman, and we'll go into that.
That's right.
Wow.
Batman.
Actually, he's not.
Why
Batman.
he has a deeper voice, you know?
Yeah.
I think we're going to go into why he's not Batman, which is more important.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so I'm sure people are out there like, what on earth are they talking about?
What
right?
are they drinking before the show?
What on earth? Well, of course he's not Batman. He's not Bruce Wayne. He doesn't live in Gotham.
So I'm going to give you just a second to introduce yourself again, Ransom, just to let everybody know who you are, what you do, and then we'll go into our subject for the day.
All right, let's go at it, man. So my name is Ransom Davenport, and if you want to find out more about my name, I'm going to plug this right now. You can go look it up at New Bold Oola, which is OOLA Life. It's on YouTube, and look up the Ransom one. What's in the name? The Ransom one. To really find out that whole story. I could spend the entire time just talking about that. And so what do? I am a coach who's dedicated to coaching men. I'm dedicated to coaching men so they can understand what it is to be a man, because in our culture that has been lost, to really understand just at the fundamentals of what that looks like. And then I like to work with men who want to become entrepreneurs. Now I consider myself, this is a brand new term, the mantrepreneur. So I help to produce mentrepreneurs. So I'm the one that helps to, everyone in life, every man I believe should have something of income, something extra that they're doing. If they have a full-time job with somebody, but still having something outside of that to generate not only extra income, but to really, fulfill their purpose, their value in life, to be able to bring that forth. It's hard to do that working for someone else, fulfilling their mission and their vision. A lot of times that's what you're doing. You're doing that, and you don't ever get a chance and opportunity to do that. Then you may want to transition to where this is what you do with your entire life. You have this vision, you have this purpose that you haven't been fulfilling. So what does that look like to transition into that? Because that's my personal story as well. I transitioned into that. I didn't understand what it was to be a man either. I didn't understand what it was to be the entrepreneur, but then transitioned into that. And then also too, I love to work with high performing men. So athletes, people in, do things in a realm and area that most of us don't. They're just truly in this other plane and field. And so I've had an opportunity to be around a lot of men like this. Myself never was a high performing athlete. Now I did other things of that nature, but I've had a chance to be around them. And I saw a common thread throughout all of them, all of man culture. So that's what my mission has been. So I personally dealt with mindset/identity issues, really truly understanding who I was.
Right.
Because I had made all these goals around everything. I have a great company that I work with now, Oola. And they showed me that I was unbalanced in my life, that I was stuck in these places. So they helped me to find balance, but still the work wasn't done. I had to start examining myself, my identity, because I kept on setting goals and all these things and doing and accomplishing goals, but not really feeling fulfilled. So I was like, what is the missing half? And then when I came in contact through my journey, I started that journey back in 2016, really, really making my way through it. And so it took me about about 4.5, 5 years to really figure out, to figure out what I was really wanting to do with a life. And so around that, I found this whole common theme with all this, and it was my mindset. It was
Right.
truly the mindset that really, when it boiled down to it, everything that I ever wanted to accomplish, ever wanted to do, was around mindset. You would think about it, all the people that are your high performing people, your low performing people, everything in between, is all about the set of the mind. You know,
Mhm.
Bruce Lee didn't become the amazing Bruce Lee until he set his mind to do it. He had to formulate this whole philosophy, this mindset, a mindset that wouldn't allow him basically to take no from an answer for an answer. You know, even dependently, even on inside of himself. You know, those are sometimes your biggest no's come from inside, not on the outside.
Mhm. Right.
So,
So you, in discovering yourself, you kind of discovered what your purpose was.
right. This purpose to speak to men on these things.
Hmm.
Because I felt myself I had 3 signposts in my life in intersections, and they were being unheard, unseen, unsupported. But it
Hmm.
turned out a lot of this was just the outside world reacting to what was in the inside world, what my mindset was. Then once I addressed that, and it was a process, it wasn't like, hey, oh, there we go, just add water, and it's over with. It wasn't quick. It wasn't a shot. It wasn't a pill. It wasn't anything like that. It was walking through my stuff with other great men and figuring this out is what it was. But that's really the precipice of all things come down really to that in my experience. Like Phil and Oscar, they show up. They're doing this because they have set their mind on being something bigger, bringing value. So what's your catchphrase, Phil, about winning?
When you win, we win.
When you win, we win.
Hmm.
That's a completely different mindset. And so, did you ever exist? Just bring this out so
Hmm.
people, the audience, can see what this is. Did you
Right.
ever exist in the place of I win versus this new philosophy, like I have to win?
You know, it's funny you should ask that, because you are when I was growing up, the idea of the implication of winning was, you know, you have to win on your own,
Mm,
right? uh Nobody's going to help you. You've got to do this all by yourself. And that's the mentality that is impressed on you.
mm,
But over time, I realized that you're only as good as the sum of the people around you. Right. And so, and your contribution to that network,
mm,
right? You actually attract or build the relationships that you want based on who you are.
mm.
If you're selfish, you're going to attract selfish people, which in turn you're going to complain about their selfishness. But it's still you being selfish because you want them to serve you, and you're not thinking about how you can serve them. So this, when I was inspired with this, when you win, we win, it's just based on the reality that when you are motivated about someone else's dream, somebody else's goals, you find that you win
Mm.
in helping them accomplish that, because you discover so much about what you want to do and what your purpose is by helping other people. So
Yeah,
I believe it's definitely a win-win.
Yeah.
and I grew up in the Bronx, and the Bronx theory was do unto others before they do unto you.
You.
You know, so it was like me first, and I'm getting ahead, and doing whatever I got to do to be first in the playground. Got to college, I joined a fraternity,
Mm,
and I realized during Hell Week, during that whole process of Hell Week, I got it like from the first day. It's like if we don't drop our ego and
mm,
just reach out and help the other guys in the group, we're not going to make it as a group. if you try to, and this is what I've seen during COVID, anyone who says, I can do this by myself is going down in flames. You're looking around, listen, we're all in this hellhole together. How do we help each other to get out of it? So, I see that in COVID, it's like, it's one big hell week going on. It's like, all right, you guys got to work together or it's not going to work at all. So that breaking down that the male ego to like, I'm the best, I can do it. I don't need you is the best way to go down in flames.
I love that, Oscar, because that's the biggest lie right there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need you. You have just blocked yourself. That's like we're herd creatures, right? We need each other. We need each other because being isolated is the fastest way for you to be taken out. And when you don't acknowledge the people around you that have actually helped you become better, you have just hurt yourself, because now those people are not going to be, nobody wants to be used. Right. Nobody wants to feel like they are not valued. So the moment you make a statement like, I made this here by myself, all the people that helped you are going to be like, well, then be by yourself. and that saying where, it's lonely at the top. It's only lonely at the top because you stepped on so many people getting there. You killed the flock. Okay.
That's right. See, that's my whole point. Like, there was a mind shift for you guys. You grew up in something, you had it demonstrated to you by other men. We can say, a lot of us too are influenced by mothers because there's not as many men around. So there's an influence there. But so we saw men in there. We saw them like, man, they get what they want. They just walk over top of people. They just do that. They're winning. They're winning on their own. We don't see what's behind, going on behind the background all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the thing, is to really bring that into, one thing I talk about too is either you're going to work or you're going to network.
Wow.
So yeah, like either you're physically put your hands at it or you network with people. That's really, in my understanding, the two options. There's a mixture in between, but really that's where it comes down to. And that's my whole thing too, is joining together as men and coming together, help improve each other's mind to heal around these things, to be open, transparent, to talk about them, not to be afraid to say these things, be able to look at each other, man, I love you, in a brotherly way, and mean it, and not be like, choke on the words.
I think you're cool. You're okay by me.
Yeah. It's the best, because that's my thing too. I'll tell the guys to be like, man, I love you. And they're like, man, I appreciate that. I'm like, what? Come on, eventually you get there. You get man enough to be able to say it. Because there's a thing. I mean, when does that enter in? When does that become faux pas? When does it become forbidden? With men, we're throwing our arms around each other as kids. We're doing this. The other one's crying. You're helping them out. You're talking.
Wow.
And then there's this level of shut down emotion. Don't do that. Like, there's something gets pulled back, to have that experience and just to regenerate that in man culture. Because I see that across the board, that it's just diminished. And so what happens is we're shut off emotionally. Then we're getting this relationship with this wife. We have the family, we have the kids, and then we've shut that side off. And then we're supposed to just automatically activate it when a kid's born. But we don't know what to do.
Wow.
So that's part of the mission, is building that network of people to be able to come in and share it when we're at different stages in our life. Men that have been there, men that are in it, to be able to invest in one another. That's the long-term vision, building a network.
Yeah. All right. So that's your long-term vision. And you keep talking about mindset. Like, if I've never heard the word mindset, how would you explain it to me? When people say, all you got to do is change your mindset. Like, okay. I don't know. Is there a dial somewhere? What exactly does that mean? It's like,
sure.
The hammer to the head.
That's a great question. That's a great question. Yeah. So let's slow it down a little bit. Let's open this up. Let's visit that term. So for me, in my experience, mindset is kind of like that. It is having a barometer or dial in your mind. And it really is as simple as, so here's the thing. It's everything I'm going to say is simple. It's just not easy, is what it requires, right? So many things in life are simple. They're just not easy. So it's a matter of coming in and seeing where you're set at in your, let's say your time, how you spend your time, your host, who's around you, your identity pieces, your activities, and your finances, and all these are some certain areas that you can look at, and how you're set in these different areas. Who determined that? Is really visiting that. Are you determining that, or is this programmed in you from someone else?
Wow.
So you have to spend time and kind of unearth it. And so you've got these different dials throughout there. So you're trying to get, just like Ula talks about, this is what I love about part of what they do, is about the balance in the systems. Mm-hmm. So you've got the system moving and going and flowing. And so you don't have anything out of whack, is the idea. So you're really taking, and somebody offered this to the first time that I went to a mastermind. So here's that term again, melding, meshing of minds. And the guy told me, he was the head of it. He said, I want you to take every thought captive. I want you to start thinking every thought. I want you to really take it and examine it and really understand. I'm like, what? Every thought? I'll be spending all the day like sitting contemplating. This is where my mind goes. Some mystic sitting in a corner contemplating everything. I don't have time to take every thought captive like that. Mm-hmm. But that's what I ended up doing. And over a period of time, by taking it, examining it, seeing where it was birthed from, wow. How is it really moving things forward? Is this where I want to go? Can this mindset shift me and move me to where I want to go?
So you're saying I have a thought and I say, wait a minute, why do I have that thought? Who told me this is the correct thought? Is there something different that I can think about this subject that makes sense?
Yeah.
Thinking outside the box you were put in, as we know, by the time you're 7 years old, they put you in that box. And unless you know that you have to literally break out of that box, you're just going to continue in that 7-year-old programming without updating.
Yep. And so that's my whole thing too, is starting off for us, helping rewire us so we can start a generation who is wired for what they're supposed to do, for what their purpose is, to set them with a mind of openness and freedom. Now there has to be rules, laws. Don't take this as lawlessness. Yeah, do what you want, anything like that. But it's really truly is finding that mindset and discovering what that looks like, discovering where you want to go.
Yeah. That's, the question that came to my mind while you guys were talking was, is your safe place really safe? Mm-hmm. And when I think of mindset, I think of a set of beliefs or a set of ways of thinking that you have set up as a safe place, right? I have this construct of thoughts and ideas and beliefs that make me feel safe, but am I truly safe? And that's why I love what you said about taking every thought captive, is because there are thoughts that have been put in our mind, whether it be via television, via your parents, via your influencer, whoever your influencer could be. We adopt thoughts from those places. And there is a point where you either put it in the trash or you take it and you put it as a part of your personal building construct. And that's where I really believe that we need to seek out the truth about ourselves. And I believe, and that only comes when we allow other people to challenge our belief system.
Right.
Now, do you
one second, Oscar. Let me just finish this thought real quick, because it's like, you don't know the truth of your belief system until it's challenged.
Right.
And I think we get offended too easily when somebody challenges what we believe. Mm-hmm. Hey, go ahead.
Yep, that's exactly what I'm saying. If you guys know, I think it was Plato, the allegory of the cave. For
Mhm.
people that don't know, it's like there's the 4 guys in the cave. They're back to the entrance. The only thing they've ever seen in their entire lives are shadows on walls. Their reality is shadows on walls. That's all they've known. One guy escapes, goes out to the sunshine, sees trees are actually green, they're 3-dimensional, all this stuff, comes back and tells the other guys, listen, I've seen reality, and they kill him because it is so against what they all know is true. So, Ransom, at what point do you find yourself, as I say, speaking butterfly language to caterpillars, saying, I've seen what a good mindset can do.
Mhm.
Let's take this long, slow, bumpy journey together. And how much pushback do you get from people on that? Or are people at this point looking for an answer, looking to get the hell out of the cave?
I think, it's been a turn of things. So over the years, when talking with men, it's been, pushback, but as, this whole COVID experience too, like has really opened up people, like the coronavirus. People are like, yeah, what I've been thinking, what I've been doing is not working. What I've been believing is not setting me up for success. So it just really has opened up those doors for the people, that there really are not as much pushback. There's some, but not as much, and found in my experience. So it really helps to just the times that we're in, they're ready for the message, I believe.
Well, I believe you're right too, because you can right now is where we can either fight what we are facing or run from it.
Right.
And those are your basic psychological, fight or flight is our basic psychological knowledge, right? But it's just where if you don't face the truth about yourself. I love, what the Bible says is like, the truth will set you free.
Mhm.
There's that statement is not just blanket. I think we take that and we religionize it.
Mhm.
We put it in that box of, safe place, that safe box, right? Okay, this is what that means. Boom, that's it. But it is truth as in reality. What is the true reality of why you are the way you are? And the moment you can discover that, there is a peace that comes with that. There's okay, I get it now, right? Versus the pretense of, I call it the race car versus the Mack truck,
Mhm.
right? I'm a race car thinking I'm a Mack truck. So I try to do all the things that a Mack truck can do, but I keep failing because I'm a race car, right? I don't have any pull. I can't really pull anything, but I can go really fast. And the moment you can kind of like take yourself from comparing yourself to this Mack truck, well, he's bigger and he can pull loads and he can do this, but he can't move as fast as you.
Right.
Right. We just have to really look in the mirror and start saying who am I,
Right.
and what am I about, and really start asking ourselves those questions on like 1,000 different levels.
Yeah. That's it. I mean, the mindset. So, like you said, what are the set of thoughts you have? What have you set yourself to be safe with? What are you setting yourself up for? That's it.
Wow.
It's only going to take you to a certain temperature. It's only going to take you to a certain place. If you're
Mhm.
desiring to go further, you have to develop a new mindset. I mean, it's true. We do this all the time in school. The thought of being a second grader and a third grader, and that we elevate the mindset around that, right? It's
Yeah.
elementary.
No,
I
absolutely.
mean,
Absolutely.
it's a
Absolutely.
new mindset. But then what is it? We get into life and we're like, oh, we're done. Our mind,
Mhm.
like, this is it. And we don't need to develop that mind to set it to another level to keep on being fulfilled. It's not really truly just about achieving, but it's
Mhm.
about doing what your heart's treasure is, for bringing that out into the world. We're not talking treasure from just, a receiving factor of like jewels and possessions. What were you designed and put here for?
Right.
And
See,
so the mind, I
I
felt like,
love I love this conversation because we're talking about one word, mind, right? People say, I'm going to change my mind, or I changed my mind. What did it look like before? What is a mind? Where's it? What does it look like? I know what my brain is. It's a physical thing. What is the mind, and why and how do we change that mythical mind? That's the okay, again, mindset. Great. Got to set my mind and there's that word again, my mind. What's it look like? Where does it live?
Wow. Where does it live?
What's it live?
Now we're getting over here. So there's something that talks about there's these 7 universal laws. And so you will find them. So universal just simply is talking about one voice, universe, one voice. So the people out there who are, prescribed to Christianity in this, God and this and the one central and the 3 parts and all those things, basically they're people who don't prescribe to that are saying the same thing when they talk about the universe, when they talk about it's the one voice. There's so many similarities, but one thing it talks about is there's 3 unmutable laws, and one of them is the law of mentalism. Everything is mental. There's a mind, there's a thought. There's nothing made in this world until a thought is first developed. Then it comes from from that thought, things are formed. People may challenge like, oh, no. I mean, but really think about it. Like, you can't do anything until that mind activates your body to do it. The body is the slave of the mind. We've seems like got into the place where the mind is the slave of the body. This paradigm.
No, that's pretty profound, because I mean, when I believe that sometimes it can be in a rotation, and you said it in the very beginning, is where you have to, when you were talking about putting every thought into captivity, is really examining which one is in rulership right now, which one is in dominant force, because there's points where your body will start dictating, okay, this is what I need, and it could make no sense whatsoever. You already have a 60-inch TV. You want to get the 80-inch,
right? Because
I need that 80-inch TV, because the room, and you start making up these really horrendous ideas as to why you need that 80-inch TV, when that 60-inch TV is just fine. It's okay, right? We tend to try to fit things into our lives that we really don't need, and that's when as I'll put it, as how the Bible says it, it's your flesh versus your spirit. What is it that you really need versus what you just desire to have? Oh man, I need 2. I have my wife, but I need a side chick. Mm-hmm. Do you need a side chick, or is that just extra drama? Mm-hmm. Right? What is that going to benefit? What's that going to benefit you in the long run? Right.
Right.
And so we have to think about how we're building this house in our mind, right? I want, before we start stepping over, we were talking about this beforehand, and so I want to make sure we hit this, right? So who is your perfect client?
Oh, my perfect client, yeah. So we talk about men with just understanding what it is, the identity of men, then men who want to become entrepreneurs, and then high performing. So I was sitting here, I was considering it, pondering it, taking those moments of silence and thinking like who that would be. And I was driving along in my Tesla one day, because it makes me like imagine what this character's car would feel like, and it was Batman. So I was like, he would be my ideal.
I couldn't wait to get to that. I could not wait to get to that, because
so I was driving along.
I wanted us to talk about why would Batman be your best client?
He'd be my best client because he doesn't understand truly what it is to be a man. He lost his father at a young age. I mean, the story of Bruce Wayne, that his father got murdered, and then so out of that, both his parents, and so his father wasn't around. he had this whole identity issue. So he developed this identity of then going out to be the Cape Crusader, but he had this huge, amazing business in front of him. He could have launched it and done so much good there. So he had that business already set in place, but he chose to go around that because there was an identity piece of he wanted to do this to seek out justice because he ultimately felt like he wasn't heard, seen, or supported through this entire experience. So he had to go, and as we talked about, he had to go do it on his own. He had to become his thing. He had to become this symbol. We talked about too with personal development and different things, people just putting on mask after mask after mask.
Yes.
He literally became this identity in this mask. So here's the high performer guy. You know, it has to be an athlete, has to do this, has to shirk off everything. He, you know, no relationships. He's got all kinds of relationships issues, right, Oscar? We were talking about that.
He almost hit it off with Catwoman once or twice, but you know, after that, it was
but see, his crazy. We talked about that.
Okay, wait. No. Okay, so wait a minute. That's the huge point you just hit. His relationship was he almost had a relationship with Catwoman.
Right. Now, it was his alter ego having a relationship with somebody else's. None of them were genuine. It wasn't Bruce Wayne and Eartha Kitt. It was the Batman and the Catwoman.
So
mask upon mask.
So doesn't that relate to that person, Ransom? To where you're wearing a mask, you meet somebody else and they're wearing a mask, and then you all get married. And we all know what
the mask come off and the gloves come off at that point.
That's right.
Yeah, and we all know that marriage is like the reality buster. It is where you are naked and that you see that person and they see you. And a lot of times you see the scars. You see the reality of who that person is. Now, talk about that.
So that's it. There's truth in that. So that really, when it opens up and you see these things, is then, you know, what's to be done with it. I mean, the truth is there can be healing around that. But you have to, like we're talking about, you have to examine truth. You've got to come back and see where the scars are from. And we've got to then unfold this and work this together. And really just to be vulnerable and open, transparent. You can't hide anything. That's what got you to where you are. Is by doing that.
But Ransom, sometimes those scars got gangrene in it now. Like you never tended to it. In fact, your body became so numb to it that you just live with it.
Right.
But now that you're naked and your spouse, your person sees it, right? What does that feel like?
Well, at first, a lot of times for a man, like your wife is there designed to help you. It really is. You know, they're here to become a side to you, to help you, to assist you. They'll point something out and you're like, just leave it alone. Like, I don't want you to touch it. Thanks. Like, you feel insecure about it. You have a fear around it because we want to show up for our wives, for anybody. It's strong here. Nothing can hurt me. Nothing can harm me. But I mean, obviously, like you said, if using that analogy, if something's passing out there, you got an issue. We need to take care of it. No,
I'm Batman.
I'm good.
Yeah.
There's a reason you can't feel that arm.
That's right. That's it. That's it. And this is the whole thing too. And so that's the reason, you know, with Batman, you know, not come back to a relationship. You know, what was it? What would it have been like if he had just sat down and focused this out and really looked at it and thought about it? The focus came upon him and not the mission of, you know, he was fighting for dead people. He was fighting for his mother, fighting his father his entire life. He was carrying on, you know, they were long gone. Their worries are gone. Their cares are gone. But he's carrying them he's carrying dead people to do that. You know, how many of us are carrying a load we're not designed to carry, or carrying someone else's losses, someone else's pain, someone else's sorrows?
And that goes to living in the moment also. The I heard a story of the two monks. There was a young monk and an old monk, and they're walking down the forest, and a woman's trying to cross the stream and not get wet. And the old monk picked her up, carried her across the stream, put her down, and kept walking with the young monk. Then about 5 miles down the road, the young monk just couldn't take it. He says, "Listen, we've been told we can't touch women, we can't talk to women. Why did you do that?" And he said, "Well, I put her down at the shore. You've been carrying her for 5 miles." It's like, I did what I did.
The guiltier.
Yeah.
Who's the guilty?
Like, you kept carrying her. I put her down. I'm done with it.
That's it. That's it.
Wow. I love this conversation. I do, because one thing I love when we have you on, Ransom, because we're having you back on next week, right? You're coming back with us next week?
Yes, I will, my man.
All right, there you go. See that? I love that. We're
going to be talking about Captain America and the Hulk next week.
Yes. Okay. Oh, wow. Yes.
Or is that a challenge?
It sounds like
your homework is to find other superheroes with identity problems.
Oh, there are a slew. Because it's the thing about it. We talked about it. I love that. Like, normally some man will identify with a superhero, and what they're identifying in there came out. And so here's just being totally transparent. One thing, when I was young, it was Batman.
Mm-hmm.
I had parent issues, like my parents divorced and separated, like there were parental issues there. And so I wanted Batman's strength. I wanted him. He's hiding behind the mask. You know, he goes out and fight for what is right, even though he's considered a vigilante. You know, he's taking things into his own hand. Right. But he's like, you know, he's got, you know, I looked at all the things that I wanted, and so I identified with that. Well, later in life, things are going along. I've developed another superhero fascination. It was Wolverine. The guy that can heal, can get shredded up, can't get hurt, has secret, you know, weapons in his hands. All this can be hurt, but he doesn't know who he is. That's half his struggle, is he doesn't know who he was before he became the Wolverine. Like, there's a whole episodic thing around that.
Right, absolutely, yes.
So every time you come to the superhero, there's brokenness, but there's something, if we're identifying that time with their ego. Then later on, I developed into a fascination with the character Punisher. So there was a mental piece coming out every single time. There's something that's telling me what's going on, but never addressing the identity pieces. But, you know, fantasizing about those things versus what is it really to live in our reality, to take those thoughts captive and deal with them. You know, I was young with those, but still, that still gets in there.
It is. It is.
Could be a whole new field of psychology. Who is your superhero? And let's dig down and find out why you think.
That's it.
Let's do that. Let's do an alter ego thing next week. I love that challenge, Oscar. That's like, cool. Yeah, definitely something.
My superhero is Pigpen.
So who do you want it to be next week? Which superhero?
I think he's right. I mean, as far as the ones
being Pigpen?
No, not really. No, not him. Not really. We're going to do Tinkerbell next week just for you, Oscar. But I'm thinking the guys that really feel they have to carry the pressure of manhood and perfection. Superman and Captain America.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will do.
Yeah, because think about it. They're the guys that have to wear the heaviest mask, or the guys that have to pretend that they're perfect. And they have no flaws.
So I'll dig in there, and what I'll do is I will discover their mindset, and I'll tell you where their heads are.
I want to do Iron Man, because he is so flawed. You know, and you don't need a mesh. He needs an entire
suit,
armor.
This is like, it's not a mask with little horn, little ears on top like Batman in a flimsy cape. This dude needs an entire.
Batman does not have a flimsy. What do you know about Batman? Oh, come on. Listen, you know what?
Do your research, Dark Knight, man.
Listen, man, don't be talking about the Dark Knight like that. Don't talk about my hero, you know. But Ransom, it's been great talking to you again, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Program. Oscar, you know, you're like my brother from another mother. And so we will see everyone next week. We're going to have our favorite guest on again. I'm pretty soon he's just not going to be a guest. We might just have to change the name.
It's the Ransom Show with Phil and Oscar.
You just need to you just need ransom and like people show up.
Oh yeah, actually ransom. They're like, what? Somebody's held hostage? What's going on?
I'm telling you, you get a line of clothes, ransomware. That's a seller.
I'm going with
By the way, the only one I know that really rocks the cape is James Brown. Everybody else is a distant second. Sorry.
We all know who your hero is. All right, James everybody. Brown. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you again next week. Take care.